In this module, we're going to discuss facilitating performance of production staff. The learning objectives for this chapter are: list and describe the procedures for performing a position analysis to create job standards. Explain strategies for developing job descriptions. Describe procedures for implementing performance-based training programs that help employees consistently attain job standards. Explain how checklists can help managers ensure that each job standards are being met. Describe procedures for evaluating employees' performance as needed to maintain job standards. And describe the 5-step process for controlling labor costs during production. Managers must do a great amount of planning before food and beverage production begins. Their activities include developing the menu, standardized recipes, procedures for purchasing, receiving, storing, and issuing products, and standards for food production. This chapter explores directing the work of food production staff, and the first step is to develop the job standards that drive how the work should be done. A position analysis can be used to identify each task an employee must do and explain how it should be done. A position analysis questionnaire is a job analysis questionnaire that evaluates job skill level and basic characteristics of applicants from a set match of employment opportunities. This was developed by Purdue University in 1972. It develops a task list, decides how the tasks can be separated into small activities. This is also known as a task breakdown. Think about performance standards when you're putting it together. And then it helps aid in writing a job description that indicate the most important tasks that are being part of the job. So what is a task list? A task list specifies all tasks that are part of a job. It's literally a list of tasks. It focuses on the activities an employee must be able to do. For example, a cook must know how to operate food production equipment. A bartender may need to know how to restock the bar. Managers can use basic procedures to develop a task list, such as asking supervisors and experienced workers in the position questions such as, describe what you do in a normal work shift from when you begin work until you complete the shift. Review any written information about the position, such as any existing job descriptions and training materials used to teach new employees. And observe the staff members as they work. Compare what they actually do to what they said they did when asked. After reviewing this information, a manager can develop a list of tasks that make up a job. This can often lead to not only a task list, but benchmarks for evaluating performance. Is the employee doing the work the correct way? Task breakdowns. These tell how each task in the task list should be done. A cook may need to properly operate the deep fryer. So developing the task breakdown for this activity may be simple because the manager can properly use the operating instructions provided by the equipment manufacturer to divide the task into simple steps. There are several benefits to a task breakdown. It provides the correct way to perform a task. This ensures performance standards are met. Written copies can be reviewed as needed. Practice makes progress, not perfect. It's really important to remember that when doing a task breakdown, we want to look at it from the standpoint of practicing each step and then compare it to what they did to the steps in the task breakdown. Are they following the directions correctly? Think about a recipe. When you do a recipe, you always want to follow the recipe the same way each time. If you deviate from that recipe every time, you're going to get a different result. Developing task breakdowns. Managers can develop task breakdowns by performing a series of steps, including watching an experienced staff member perform the task. Record each activity or step in the sequence. Ask the staff member to review the information to confirm its accuracy. Share the information with other experienced staff members and their supervisors. Make modifications and repeat the review process as needed. Review the task worksheet with the employee and the employee supervisor. And then finally confirm by observing an experienced person performing the task to make sure that it is accurate and it is being done correctly. Performance standards specify required quality and quantity outputs, which define the correct way to perform the task. They have to be reasonable in their nature. We want to make sure that performance standards are not putting any undue expectation on the individual, but are a reasonable facsimile of what they're expected to be able to do. And they need to be specific. Performance standards must be specific so they can be measured. Compare these two statements. The cook will know how to prepare twice-baked potatoes. Or, the cook will be able to prepare twice-baked potatoes according to the standardized recipe. The second standard is better because it is accurately measured. Exhibit 7.2 shows a sample task list and task breakdown for a bartender. A simple task list is inspect the bar before opening to ensure adequate supplies are available, follows setup procedures, mixes, prepares, and serves drinks to customers, collects payment for drinks served, maintains and cleans bar area and equipment, carefully follows all laws and establishments, policies, and procedures regarding alcoholic beverage service and stops service to intoxicated guests, and carefully follows closing checklist at the end of the shift. Part B is a sample breakdown for stopping service to intoxicated guests. First thing, alert backup. Enlist the help of others if necessary. Wait until the guest orders the next round before stopping service. Inform the guest the alcoholic beverage service is being stopped, and offer non-alcoholic alternatives. The last step in position analysis is to summarize the major tasks in the position. The document used for this purpose is a job description. Job descriptions can be used in multiple different venues in different ways. First, they tell exactly what employees must do in their position. They also provide an important foundation for many other functions in the operation, such as recruiting and screening. This gives an opportunity to take the overall pool of individuals that have applied for a job and narrow it down. Selection and orientation. We want to be able to use this job description to hire our employees. We want to make sure that they're aware of exactly what their responsibilities are. Professional development training, you can use the job description as a roadmap for the training required for the job. This helps them determine how an individual's performance compares to work expectations and whether more training may be needed. In addition, the use of job descriptions make it easier to identify how to develop employees for other positions in the future. Performance appraisal programs. A job description is the benchmark in which you're going to judge their performance. Along with that is salary administration. Job descriptions and job specifications help in developing compensation or salary ranges for positions. They provide a starting point for classifying jobs into categories that require common knowledge and skill. For example, all culinary positions would be in a culinary class. Job descriptions also make it easier to compare positions between operations. Safety and security. Job descriptions can define responsibilities for ensuring food safety and security and preventing injuries. For example, a cook position might include duties such as handle, prepare, and store food, following hazard analysis critical control points or HACCP guidelines. A manager's position might include security duties at closing, such as ensure the establishment is locked and the alarm is set. Union relations. Job descriptions are often carefully studied when misunderstandings occur between a union employee and supervisors or when there's a union grievance. They also clarify the scope of job and the range of responsibilities for employees is expected to undertake, which can be a factor during contract negotiations. While we don't see a lot of unions in the culinary industry, there are quite a few states out there that do have unionization within the overall hospitality industry. Legal proceedings. Job descriptions may be reviewed in lawsuits, administrative hearings, or discrimination complaints, or other legal proceedings as well. Well-written job descriptions provide more protection to the operation. A well-written job description includes the information needed to understand the job. It should be specific enough to tell what the job involves, but not so detailed that it defines minor job tasks that may change. Here you can see a sample job description that includes job specification information. Typically, an operation uses the same format for each job description and provides an overview of the same categories of job information. Some establishments may use one job description format for management and another for non-management positions. Writing job descriptions take care and sensitivity. One challenge to writing them is compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. Always focus on the results of outcomes of a responsibility, identify the essential functions of the position, and describe them in clear and neutral language. Essential functions are key duties that an employee must be able to perform to do the work. Honoring the spirit and intent of ADA legislation requires managers to clarify what is involved in specific duties and whether there are alternative ways, called reasonable accommodations, to accomplish this. The EEOC, or Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, defines reasonable accommodation as a change in the job application process in the way the job is performed, or to other parts of the job, such as employer-sponsored training and benefits that enables a person with a disability to have equal employment opportunities. However, an employer does not have to accommodate a person if doing so would cause undue hardship to the employer. An undue hardship is considered to be an action that is excessively costly, extensive in nature, or substantial in relation to the employer's size and financial resources, or that would fundamentally alter the nature or operation of the business. When developing job specifications, ensure they identify only bona fide occupational qualifications, or BFOQ. This is a realistic range of skills or credentials needed to perform an essential job function. For example, a manager cannot specify gender as a job specification unless it is necessary to perform the job, such as a female for a woman's restroom attendant. Training must be cost effective, meaning it must yield time and money savings that are greater than what it costs. The best training is performance-based, and it's planned and delivered in an organized way so employees will learn how to correctly perform all the tasks in the task list. The term performance-based means that the training focus is on what trainees must know and be able to perform to the expected levels of work quality and quantity for all the tasks in the job description. The need for training to be performance-based creates certain challenges, however. All tasks in the position must be identified first. The specific knowledge and skill needed to do the task must be determined. Training to provide all of the knowledge and skills to perform each task must be developed. Competencies, these are standards of knowledge, skill, and ability required for successful job performance, must be considered. An evaluation process is needed to learn if the training is successful. The best performance-based training is usually delivered at a job site. The optimal delivery format is one-on-one training sessions. There are several benefits to effective training: improved job performance, reduced operating costs, more satisfied customers, reduced work stress, increased advancement opportunities, fewer operating problems, and higher quality work. On-the-job training is commonly used in the restaurant and food service industry. It occurs when a manager or other trainer teaches job skills and knowledge to one trainee, usually at the work site. It is an excellent training method when organized training activities have been developed. It uses basic adult learning principles, such as considering the trainee's attention span and providing immediate feedback about performance. It addresses what the trainee must know and be able to do. It can be used to train both new and experienced staff, and is well accepted in the industry. There are 4 steps to effective on-the-job training. Training preparation. Trainers should do several things as they prepare. Preview the training objectives. This will identify what the trainee will learn. Use task breakdowns. Consider the training schedule. Know the length of the training activity and where the overall training plan specific activities should occur. Select the training location. Assemble training materials and equipment. Prepare the trainee. A new employee should know that the training will help him or her perform all job tasks correctly. An experienced staff member should be understanding of the fact that all the training will provide the knowledge and skills needed to perform a task differently or to learn a new task. And finally, determine what the trainee already knows. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Training presentation. The training lesson consists of the information and methods used to present one training session. In addition, the trainer will find that the task breakdown completed during position analysis will be very useful. So let's take the example of doing a physical inventory. A physical inventory count is done every month because it helps figure out how much we spend for food during that month. The trainer might then review a copy of the job breakdown for the task with the trainee. To do the physical inventory, one person counts the number of cases, cartons, or bags of each product. A second person confirms the inventory quantity and enters it into the worksheet. This process is continued until all products are counted, and this usually takes about 1 hour. After this explanation, the trainer shows the trainee how the storage area is organized and reviews how the inventory worksheet is completed. The counting process is reviewed along with strategies to ensure products are correctly shelved to promote product rotation. The trainer then reviews the first step, answers questions, and allows the trainee to repeat, practice, and demonstrate the step. If necessary, the steps are repeated until the trainee learns them correctly. As the presentation evolves, trainers follow several principles. Speak in simple terms. You want to use the terminology of the job. Present simple tasks before more complex activities. Explain and demonstrate tasks slowly and clearly. Use a questioning process, asking open-ended questions such as, why do you think we count full cases of each item before opened cases? Emphasize the task breakdown during the training, and provide clear and well-designed instruction for each task. Trainee practice and demonstration. There are several important principles as the trainee practices and demonstrates learning. Ask the trainee to repeat or explain key points. This is going to not only have them parrot it back, but also shows a point of understanding. Have the trainee demonstrate or practice the task. When a task is difficult to learn, progress may be slow. Then the trainee may need to repeat each step more often to build speed and to do more consistently and correctly. Some trainees learn faster than others. This principle is easy to incorporate into one-on-one training because individual training can be presented at the speed judged best for the trainee. Acknowledge correct performance before addressing performance problems. And then praise employees for proper performance with at least a compliment or a thank you. Follow through. The final step on the job training is for the trainer to ensure that the training has been effective. For example, at the end of the session, the trainee should be asked to perform each step in the task in sequence. The trainer should encourage him or her to ask questions. It is also useful for the trainer to provide reinforcement about the trainee's positive attitude and improved skill and knowledge. Close supervision immediately after training and occasionally supervision after the task has been mastered can help ensure the trainee is able to consistently perform the task correctly. Trainers should request that trainees always perform the task in the way they have been trained. And trainees should be asked to keep copies of the training records and materials provided for later use if needed. There are several possible training evaluation methods. Objective tests. These can be written, oral, or skill-based. A separate test should be used for each training session. Observation of after-training performance. Managers, supervisors, and trainers can manage by walking around and note whether the knowledge and skill taught are being applied. Interviews with trainees and trainers. The use of open-ended questions such as, what do we do with leftovers from our buffet? May be able to provide useful input to evaluate training. Exit interviews. Formal and even informal conversations with staff members leaving the operation can provide information helpful for training evaluation. In all cases, you want to have a documentation of the training. This documentation should be a part of the employee's file and include things such as the name of the trainee, the training dates, the training topics, notes about successful completion, and other information as applicable. Checklists are some of the most useful tools in the hospitality industry and in the business industry overall. They can be used to help ensure that standards are met and routine procedures are consistently performed throughout different shifts. There's many different types of checklists that are used for this purpose. For example, some are designed to remind employees to perform all necessary tasks in a timely manner. Others are used to ensure quality standards are maintained and for record-keeping purposes. In all instances, checklists are required to be kept for a minimum of 7 years. A lot of operations will keep all of their paperwork on an offsite just to keep the records safe and secure. More and more these days, a lot of records are being kept digitally as well. Opening and pre-shift checklists. These are used to ensure that everything has been prepared so the operation will be ready to serve customers when the shift begins. The kitchen manager or head chef must be certain food production staff are ready to prepare and serve food. An opening or pre-shift checklist for the back of the house is commonly used to address certain concerns, such as all equipment is clean, sanitized, and ready for use. Refrigeration equipment is properly working. Equipment such as ovens and deep fryers are ready to be turned on when needed. Ingredients required for the first recipes to be produced are removed from storage and transported to workstations. All mise en place, or everything in its place, has been done. Menu specials are entered into the point of sale system. And the production sheet that specifies the food items to be produced for the shift have been prepared and posted or explained. Mid-shift checklists are used during the shift. The manager should review the operation of all work areas to ensure staff are doing their work in an efficient manner and that job standards are being attained. In addition, they should confirm that the physical facilities are being maintained to food safety standards without any shortcuts being taken. Sometimes when production needs are greater or less than estimated, a manager or chef may adjust staffing levels by calling in workers or releasing someone from the work. In the back of the house, the chef or other manager monitors food preparation, food safety, staffing, and quality standards, among many other concerns. The chef or manager should continuously evaluate the speed in which food is prepared, the extent to which people are working effectively, and the level of teamwork and preparation of the food, and the operation of equipment. Ultimately, the chef or manager is responsible for ensuring that the quality of food safety standards are met. Food safety is a significant aspect of the managerial role, and the manager has numerous employee-related concerns, such as workstations are clean and safe from cross-contamination, refrigerators and freezers are monitored to ensure they're maintained to proper temperature, and then any HACCP or active managerial logs are completed as required, such as product line checks and temperature logs. Shift in and closing checklists are extremely important as well. When the shift is ending or an operation is closing for the day, many activities become important to ensure that all necessary record keeping is completed and that the establishment be ready for the next shift or the next day. Many of the same areas that were checked before the shift will need to be checked again. With well-designed checklists and reliable employees, these tasks happen almost automatically. However, it is still important for the manager to verify all activities are completed to avoid any problems. Kitchen employees should be properly cleaned.
Wait, what?
A shift-in or closing checklist for the production area might address numerous concerns. Production sheets are completed and compared to actual quantities sold to discover any potential problems. All food is wrapped, labeled, and dated. All appropriate equipment such as ovens, ranges, hoods, and dishwashers are turned off. All food is properly cooled and stored. Refrigerators and freezers are secured. Closing checklists for each station in the kitchen are completed. The floor is cleaned and the trash is removed. A shift-in or closing checklist for the front of the house is also important and will include common activities. Examples involve completion of all side work and cleaning and restocking side stands. Soda guns, coffee machines, and other beverage dispensers must be broken down and cleaned. Tables may be reset for the next meal period, and the floors must be cleaned and the lighting must be adjusted or turned off. Trash containers must be emptied, dirty linens must be removed from the designated location, menu boards may need to be cleared, and self-service stations must all be cleaned and stocked. While these may seem like they are basic functions of the job, they are very easily overlooked a lot of times without the use of a checklist. The best managers have done extensive planning to develop job standards and to ensure that the employees are trained and have the equipment and tools necessary to attain them. When employees do not meet job standards, it may be due to inadequate training, tools, or equipment. The problem may also be caused by poorly written job standards. Perhaps some job activities have changed and the job standards are out of date. For example, some receiving tasks may now be computerized and the task breakdown still describes the manual system. Job standards must be changed to keep up with the task employees must be performing. Managers must confirm that job standards are met and take corrective actions when they're not. Coaching and problem solving are two activities that managers can use when corrective action is required. Coaching occurs when managers emphasize that employees are working correctly. This is called positive coaching. And when they discourage employees from working incorrectly, negative coaching. Coaching is not usually a formal activity, and it often involves simple conversations with employees as they work. Positive coaching occurs when managers observe an employee doing something good or correct. For example, Joe, you've really done a great job with this new recipe. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Negative coaching involves correcting an employee. For example, Joe, I know you're using a new recipe and there is one step that we should work on together. After the step is discussed and demonstrated, the manager can conclude the coaching discussion. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate your hard work and I hope this step doesn't cause any more problems. Simple coaching can correct many minor staff performance problems. The use of several principles can help ensure coaching is effective. Be tactful. Emphasize the positive. Demonstrate and review appropriate procedures and explain the reasons for these changes. Keep communications open. Always be professional and provide professional development opportunities. Allow employees to contribute to their work and conduct negative coaching in private. Evaluate the work of employees by comparing their performance against standards in the task breakdown and establish and agree on timeframes for corrective actions. And then finally, ask employees how their performance can be improved. Sometimes managers may need to address problems during the work shift that cannot be resolved by simple coaching. They must do what is best to get through the shift and then be a more formal problem-solving method to take corrective action. Problem solving is a process that uses logical series of activities to determine a course of action, the method of which is shown here. First, define the problem. Identify who or what is affected. Second, determine the cause. Identify potential causes, select a cause, and ask questions to understand the cause. Third, determine and analyze alternative solutions. 4, select the best alternative solution. 5, develop an action plan. And then 6, implement that action plan. And 7, document for future reference. Controlling labor costs is an important part of every manager's job. Some inexperienced managers might think the best way to control labor costs is to schedule fewer labor hours. However, professional managers understand that their customers are best served when the correct number of well-maintained and well-trained employees is matched with the business volume expected. There's several factors that affect labor costs. The menu. The menu is probably the most important factor in controlling labor costs. There can be just a few or many items that are time-consuming to produce. Managers must provide the menu variety necessary to ensure the operation's popularity and success. At the same time, they must schedule employees who can prepare and serve the menu variety while meeting quality standards. Food preparation methods. Few operations prepare all menu items from scratch using unprepared ingredients. Some types of convenience foods are used to reduce labor costs, and managers must select convenient food that is based on acceptable quality as the first consideration, as well as labor savings as the second consideration. A manager who buys inferior products to save labor costs will quickly learn that customers will not accept poor quality food items. Spending less for products that are not acceptable does not make business sense, nor does it save money in the long run. And quality of training. Training improves the knowledge and skills of employees and can help increase productivity and lower labor costs. New employees must be well trained to perform job standards. Then, as they become more productive, they can work more cost effectively. There are 5 steps to controlling labor costs. Step 1. Use budget to plan labor standards. Most managers using operating budgets that estimate revenue and expenses for specific periods for 2 purposes. Budgets help them estimate their revenue and expenses, and they can then measure actual results against the budget standards to learn how well the plan worked out. Budgeted labor cost goals cannot be met unless they are used to help plan employee schedules. Therefore, the approved operating budget serves as a roadmap to help managers spend no more than the budget limits for labor costs. Step 2. Forecast customer counts. Procedures for forecasting customer counts were discussed in Chapter 5. The process involves using point of sale or POS system information to determine previous sales. This historical information is then adjusted as necessary to make forecasts based on factors such as special community events and holidays. Step 3. Plan the number of labor hours to use. Employee schedules can be developed by considering the number of labor hours needed to produce meals and the forecasted number of customers. However, a minimum number of labor hours is needed to operate the kitchen. Then additional hours are required as the customer counts increase. Step 4. Schedule kitchen staff. Many managers use software tools to create employee schedules. They can preload employee data, including requested days off, vacation, maximum allowable hours, restrictions, and when hours can be worked for minors, employee time preferences, and other factors. This is a really excellent way of putting a schedule together and not having to redo the schedule every 5 minutes. Managers should monitor schedules carefully and adjust them when certain events arise, such as the following: significant changes in business volumes, unexpected employee separations, employee call-ins or no-shows, and changes in operating hours or work assignments. Step 5. Use budget information to evaluate results. After managers have developed, distributed, and implemented the employee schedule, the employees will work their assigned shifts and managers can evaluate the results. This section reviews procedures to evaluate planned or scheduled labor hours against the labor cost standards estimated in the approved budget. In other words, what you think you're going to do versus what you actually did. If the budget goal is not met, the amount by which actual performance differs from the goal is called a budget variance. The difference between the amount of revenue or expense indicated in the budget and the actual amount of revenue or expense. There may be acceptable reasons for the variance, such as revenue being higher than budgeted and additional labor hours being required to handle the extra business. If this is not the case, the manager should use the problem-solving approach discussed earlier in the chapter. Then they can determine the reasons for higher than expected usage of labor hours. So that's all for this chapter. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we will see you on the next one.